Hi everyone, it's Mari here for Mari Clark Creations. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I'm going to be scrapbooking a layout today using the gorgeous Simple Stories Flea Market collection. This is just a beautiful collection. It was released earlier this year, I believe, and it is just so stunning. This is the pieces pack for creating really quick layouts. It's the page pieces pack, and this is the floral bits. And then, of course, I have the foam stickers, and then I've got the collection pack, which includes the sticker sheet and then a single sheet of each of the different papers from the collection. I love the collection packs because you get such a variety of little bits that are part of the collection, including the cut apart sheets and so on. And I just love the colorway for this collection. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to be using a piece of Basil Avalanche white cardstock for the base for my project. And I do have a sketch in mind that I'm going to be using as a jumping off point. It's a sketch from Scrapbook Generations and Allison Davis. If you don't follow Allison or you haven't tried out any of her sketches, they are amazing. I love them. And you can just see how gorgeous these papers are. They're going to work beautifully for the sketch that I have in mind for my project today. Now I am going to be leaving the layout free of photographs because I'm going on a holiday soon, and I wanted this layout to be for some pictures that I will take on that vacation. It is going to be a hot vacation, and so I definitely had that in the idea of what I might be scrapbooking in mind here when I'm choosing out the papers that I'm going to use. Now, typically when I'm choosing papers that I'm just going to cut up, I try to avoid using the cut apart papers if I can. So I'll choose papers with that in mind and try to use those or leave those cut apart papers for when I can actually use the cut apart elements. Sometimes I will cut apart those papers, but I try not to if I can. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm taking all of the papers that I've chosen as options, and I'm going to take the barcode strip off each one. I am using the new Tim Holtz trimmer. I love this trimmer. If you have not tried it yet, it is fantastic. I will make sure to link it up in the description box below. Now, I'm going to choose 5 papers that I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip from. And I'm just going to try to choose these based on, coordinating the different patterns together. I love this paper so much with the circles on it. They look like plates, just really, really adorable. So just love these collections from Simple Stories. I think that they're so beautiful. And sometimes I like to use a lot of pattern paper on my projects, and other times I like to just use the pattern paper as accents. But Simple Stories is definitely a fantastic place to start for pattern papers. Their papers are just so gorgeous. So I'm just, like I said, cutting a variety of strips. I'm not going to use all of these. And once I have these strips cut, I'll put them onto my white paper and see what I'm going to use. Now I want to trim each of these down, the 5 strips I'm choosing, to 9 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my ruler, and I'll put a little pencil line on each of these papers at 9 inches, and then I'll put them into my trimmer and trim off that excess 3 inches of paper. And I will keep those little 3-inch strips with my papers because you never know when you're going to need a little 3-inch strip of pattern paper. So here you can just see I'm putting these into my Tim Holtz mini guillotine trimmer. And again, I will link up to the tools and supplies that I'm using today. Now, I don't know if the flea market collection is still available, but I will definitely link up to Simple Stories in general. And if I can find this collection, I'll link up to it as well. You could literally use any Simple Stories collection for this design that I'm using today for my project. So now I'm just going to fold each of these pieces in half. And for the first little clip there, I just clipped off that angle you can see. I'm going to use that little piece that I clipped off and use it just to make sure that I'm getting that same angle on each one of my papers. So I'll just fold this. There's probably an easier way to do this, but this is just, I wanted to make sure that the little fishtail end that I'm using here is the same for each paper, because it will be obvious if it's not. So I'm just going to use that little angular piece that I trimmed off of that first end to just measure where I want that next little clip to be in the other end. And I'll do that same thing for each of the other 4 papers so that I get a banner for each of these 5 that is about the same dimension, or that the banner is the same angle for each paper. Now I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that down with my scrapbook.com repositionable adhesive tape runner, and I'm going to use my T-square ruler here to just make sure that I have this first one straight, and I'll just adjust it slightly. And it's really important that this first one is straight because I'm going to use it to put the other ones down. So if you get the first one crooked, they're all going to be crooked, obviously. There's about 1.5 inches at the top of the page and about 1.5 inches at the bottom. And I believe it's about 2.5 inches from the right edge. So my farthest banner there in teal is about 2.5 inches from the edge of the white paper there on the right. Just in case you're wanting to position your design, if you decide to use the same design in the same spots as I did. So I'm just using my scrapbook.com repositionable adhesive to put down each one of these different banners and just lining them up and making sure that they're all nice and straight, giving them a press down. And then I'll take that to my sewing machine and I'm actually going to sew down the edges of one side of each one of these strips. Of course, I do want to just use my ruler first to make sure that's straight, but here you can just see I'm showing you the stitching that I did on one side of each of those banners. Now I have trimmed out some photo mats. These are trimmed to 3.5 by 2.5. I just have some white cardstock. Again, this is the Basil Avalanche cardstock, and those are going to be my placeholders for my photos when I get those printed after my vacation. Now I am taking some, I believe this is called Mysterious Teal, Basil cardstock, and I'm going to mat my white layers on each of these teal layers. So I'm just trimming this to 1/4 inch larger than the photo mat, so 3.75 by 2.75 for each one of these teal mats. And then what I'll do is adhere the white cardstock onto the teal for each one of these different mats. Again, using that Tim Holtz trimmer. Just love this trimmer. It works super, super well. And I will go ahead now and just get those adhered onto the mats. And so I'm just using a little bit of craft foam that I have trimmed slightly smaller than the white cardstock. And I'll just go ahead and peel the backer off of each of these different pieces. Put that onto the back of the white cardstock, and then I'll use some liquid adhesive to adhere these together. So just quickly getting this down, I like to use the craft foam just because you get a nice single layer of foam behind the photo mat. And so it's all nice and even in that way. And you can adhere this down very easily just by adding that little bit of liquid adhesive. You do have to make sure that you're using an adhesive, obviously, that's archival and that is going to stick that foam down to your cardstock very well. And so you can either use your art glitter, or here I'm using the Barely Arts glue, whatever glue it is that you like to use in your memory keeping process. So I'm just going to give that a really good press, and then I will put a heavy object onto that so that it sits on there for a few seconds and lets that really get stuck down to that teal cardstock. Now these 3 photo mat areas are all ready to go. I'm going to place them onto my project like so. Again, if I haven't mentioned yet, I did use a sketch from Allison Davis and Scrapbook Generation for this project. Allison has amazing, amazing sketches, and they're just really great starting off points for your projects. If you have, you're lacking some crafty mojo, you just want some inspiration, it's a really great spot to start when you're working on a project if you're not really sure what you want to do. I love using a sketch for starting points, that's for sure. Now what I'm going to do is add these down to my project. You can see that I've just overlapped that first one on the right over top of the banners. I just left a little bit of a white margin there over to the right on the side. And then this one I'm just going to layer over top slightly higher than the one on the right and I did put some foam adhesive at the top and bottom of that middle photo mat. Now this left photo mat, you'll see I'm going to put lower than the center one and lower than the one on the right, just to make them each at a different level. So now I'm going to just choose a bunch of stickers from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet that comes in the 12 by 12 collection pack. And I'm going to just put those off to the side. I want a bunch of the cameras. I really like that luggage stack. And because this is going to be a travel themed layout, I want to just choose, little bits and pieces, some florals, some smaller pieces, some larger pieces. I really like that circle piece with the palm trees in it. And I'm just going to use my EK Success anti-static powder tool to take the sticky off the back of these stickers, because I definitely want to add some of them, possibly all of them, with some foam adhesive onto the project. And that's just going to work a little bit better if they're not so sticky on the back. I don't want the stick on the back of them to grab something and stick flat instead of being dimensional when I put the foam adhesive on the back. So that's why I like to take the sticky off the back of those different stickers. And I might not use all of these, and the ones that I don't use I'll put in the embellishment pack, because obviously they're not going to stick onto the sticker sheet once you have the sticky taken off. So I've chosen out all of the different embellishments that I want to use. I started with that camera at the top. I popped it up on some foam. Now I'm going in with this floral and I'm going to add that at the top. You'll notice that I am retaining those banner tails at the very top above the embellishments, above the photos. I want those to remain visible. And so I'm just keeping the embellishments below that level. And you can just see as I'm building up these different layers on the top, above the photos and below, I'm just trying to vary the shapes and sizes of the different pieces, whether they're die cuts or stickers, and just trying to create some dimension by using some foam adhesive on some and adding some just flat to the page. Once I'm happy with the placement of those different embellishments, I'm going to use some enamel dots and shapes from my stash. These are all Simple Stories, but I don't know what collections they came from. These are all just in a container in my space. And I'm going to put a few there down in the lower left and a few in the upper right. I'm going to finish each of those different little cameras off with a black enamel dot, sort of where the lens of the camera is. I just thought that looked really cute. And then you can see that I've chosen a foam sticker for the title, Yes Please. I've chosen a little sticker for the sides of the two photos on the far left and far right. And I will be putting the journaling down below the title when I add the photos to the project. I'm just going to add a couple of these little foam hearts, and that's going to finish off my project. Friends, I did link up in the description box to the products that I've used today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber on my channel. I've also included a link to another video on my YouTube channel that you might want to watch. Have an amazing day, friends. Take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.